As I sat here today, pondering, thinking about American exceptionalism, I just wonder, did the Pilgrims and their leader, William Bradford, did they have any idea how exceptional America would become? Or did our heroes of liberty, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Patrick Henry, Ben Franklin, John Adams, Paul Revere, did they ever imagine the world economic and military power that America would become? Or did they imagine that America's freedom and liberty would be a beacon of hope to a desperate world? The American colonists were the first people since the children of Israel to break the stronghold of tyranny. These early patriarchs of America came here in search of religious liberty and freedom from persecution and torture. Prior to 1776, governments formed by man were devised to protect the wealth of a monarch or the wealth of the ruling elite. America was the first place on earth where the freedom and liberty of its citizens were the first priority of government. As a matter of fact, the entire framework of America's government was designed to maximize individual freedom and to protect its citizens from tyranny of government. Our founders were motivated by a desire not only to assure the blessing of freedom and liberty in America, but to hold out a great promise of hope to all people around the world for all time to come. As Abraham Lincoln said, freedom and liberty in America represented the last best hope for all the earth. The early founders of America were deeply influenced by the Reformation of the 16th century. They were part of what historians have called the biblical century, which was the 17th century. It was during this time that Mr. Gutenberg invented the printing press, and millions of people were able to have their own Bible and begin to read their own Bible. Harvard professor Eric Nelson said, during this time, Christians began to regard the Hebrew Bible as a political constitution. Wow. He said readers began to see the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses, not just as political wisdom, but as a political constitution. As long as the children of Israel were obedient to the Word of God, their freedom was never challenged. It was at every moment in their history that they lost their moral compass, that they became disobedient to the Word of God, that their freedom was challenged. Sadly, America has lost its moral compass, and our freedom is under attack. The very foundation of America's exceptionalism is under attack by the liberal left, who want to create a secular America, void of God and our Judeo-Christian values. In a speech on January 27th, 1838, Abe Lincoln said, "At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reaches us, it must spring up from amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must of ourselves be the author and finisher." He went on to say, as a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. Today, America is facing the enemies of globalism, communism, radical Islam. And we find all three within our federal, state, and local government. The globalists and the communists, the anarchists, make up much of the liberal left. And they have an unholy alliance today with radical Islam. Today, America's Christianity is seeing our biblical values driven from the public square. For centuries, these values were understood as the foundation of our freedom. Today, the powerful top-down government of higher education and the media establishment, along with Hollywood and the big tech giants, seem to be well on their way of creating a secular America, void of God and our Judeo-Christian values in which our freedom was founded on. The freedom Americans enjoy is seriously at risk. The upcoming election in 2020 may very well determine if America stays free. It is the right of every American to vote. It is the duty of every American to be informed when they cast their ballot. As a Christian American, it is my right to vote, and it is my duty to be informed when I cast that ballot. But when I cast that ballot as a Christian, I must be guided by the moral compass of the Word of God. In other words, if someone is running on a platform where they're pro-abortion, they're okay with murdering babies, ripping them out of the womb, or even after they've come full-term born, they're okay with killing them, then my Bible, my moral compass, the Word of God, will not allow me to vote for that person. No matter what benefits they may promise me, I cannot vote for that person. Or if someone is pro same-sex marriage, again, I must let the moral compass of the Word of God guide me when I cast my ballot. Today I feel a sense of urgency that not just America's freedom is under attack, but that the freedom around the world is under attack. As America goes, so goes the world.
Today, we are proud to announce the newest class for Ephesians 4 School of Ministry, presented by Church of the King and Messiah TV. God and freedom, the birth of America and the responsibility to maintain her. This 12-week class will begin at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, July 28th.